Welcome to Éxito in Minutes. I'm here with
Alex Espinoza,
my co-host, and I'm Troy Blanchard. Thanks for joining us today. We're super excited. Éxito in Minutes is all focused about how in minutes we can learn the best practices, valuable tips to help you achieve your full potential. We're inviting experts to come in, and they're going to share inspirational stories. Our main purpose is when you're concluding listening to these podcasts that you will be a better person and take some of those best practices, learn not just from us, but from our guests. Thanks for joining us. Hey, welcome to Éxito in Minutes. I'm Troy Blanchard. I'm here with my co-host,
Alex Espinoza.
Hey, we are super excited for this topic today. Alex, let's tell the audience what we're going to talk about today.
We're going to talk about continuous learning and continuous improvement. So this is going to be amazing. You have to stay until the end. You will love it.
I think really started to think more deeply and with intention of incorporating continuous improvement in my life when I had this fantastic opportunity to go to Japan and study in Japan. And to qualify myself to be able to go there, I had to read the Toyota Way, 14 Principles. I had to read Toyota Leadership, and then I got to go to Toyota and actually tour the facility. And I love this the culture of Japan, and I love the idea of incorporating continuous improvement into our lives. Alex, is this something that you personally do, a continuous improvement moment once a month, once a quarter, once a year, once a day? What does your continuous improvement look like?
Well, I have to be honest with you. It's like I turned out to be this geeky guy. I started to study a lot. And so my process is like I study something new every day. So there's no day that I can go to sleep before I read a book, I listen to a podcast, or find a new way to learn. So for me, it's like a daily process where I try to learn something new. And actually, right now, I'm reading two books at a time. Well, I'll say three. The other, I'll just uncount it because I just read it on the weekends. But that's how my picture looks like. Every day, I have the chance to read at least two books before I start doing my work. Because this is something that we talked, and you taught me this in a podcast that we had, is like training before you start doing your job is like part of your professional steps. So that's my process. I read like one or two books at a time, like every day. It's amazing.
I love that. Let me unpack it just a little bit. I think, and this is why, and honestly, we didn't practice before we got on here, but that's exactly what I was hoping you would talk about, right? There's two areas that this podcast is going to talk about. One is continuous improvement. I'll bring that back to Japan and a few things that I learned there. And the other one's continuous learning. And the piece of continuous learning is a daily event. You just heard what Alex does, right? He doesn't go to bed until he makes sure that he's involved in either a podcast, a book, following up with books, and he's reading 3 books at a time. When I first was introduced to continuous learning and continuous improvement, I was asked to read 10 books in a year for the company that I was hired by. 10 books the very first year. And I remember getting handed a stack of books, and I was looking at them all going, I don't think I read 10 books in the last 8 years. Like it was a total mind switch. And I love that once you start those habits, those atomic habits, that you get to the point that we all aspire to be like Alex, right? Where we're doing a podcast, we're doing books daily. And I would say I try to do the exact same. There are months where people get shocked because I'm like, I'll listen to 50, 60 podcasts, right? And also listening to my books. But I think I want to go towards a little bit about continuous improvement. When I was in Japan, you got these line workers that are working on the Toyotas, right? And I went to Nissan and Toyota, but my main focus was in Toyota facility. And when I was in that facility, you would have a person that would do the same process every day. The car would come up, he'd put on the passenger door and the driver's side doors, and that's it. I mean, the driver's side door and the passenger back door. And then a guy would be on the other side of the line that would put on the 2 passengers, the front passenger, the back passenger door. And they would do that over and over and over again. What was shocking to me is that they would fill out a continuous improvement of how to improve the process. Sometimes it would be reducing of steps from turning to grab a door to hanging the door on the car. Sometimes it would be all the way down to the angle so they don't have to lift it 2 inches. The door could be coming across with the machine and be to lower. And after they had, in my mind, perfected that process, they still every single day would fill out a card of how that process could be improved. So advocating that continuous improvement is tied to continuous learning. In that situation, if we want to improve something that's in our daily lives, we have to go learn like you're advocating, right? We have to go out and find out more information so that we can apply it to the steps in our life to make that continuous improvement transition or step or advancement. And I love Alex. You gotta. I don't know if you have that quote that you showed me this morning. It was the first one for the day. It talks a little bit about truth. Do you have that
Yeah,
up? Yeah, read
I
that one. I
have.
love that one.
I hope this is one. The illiterate of the 20, is that the one, right? The illiterate
No,
of the
no,
20,
today's truth. Today's truth.
today's truth success doesn't belong to the smartest, it belongs to the most adaptable.
I love that. I love that quote. I don't know what made you think to start off with that quote.
Well, you know what? It is amazing to see that while I was reading and when I found out about this, it's like it's not about being how smart you are. It is more about what happening actually at the companies is like the capacity that you have to adapt at what's going on that time. So that feeling of being like, I'll say, a chameleon, where you can be like there when it's needed and you can change your colors and you can be adapted to the culture, because every company has a different culture, and being able to adapt to it, I think it's more important than that just have a great IQ. Actually, I was watching to a reel, it was this weekend. I was watching Barack Obama, because I think that that's one of the most charismatic leaders ever. It's like that guy's just so funny. He's so talented. He's so natural. And he said something about being smart. He said something about being at Harvard University. And he said, okay, you will find many people being in Harvard. They are definitely smart. They are amazing. But definitely, most of those people you won't put to running companies. It's like, no, they are just as smart, but there's other people that will be allowed to run in companies and that you will trust in naturally. So be aware of the people that you're surrounded by. So being adaptable, that's what everything is to me. It's like not that that you're smart, but you have the capacity of being there no matter where
And
you are.
I love that you bring up the different ways of being smart. I when I started off in elementary, it came. I was real quick. I learned that I was not a great test taker. I had a lot of friends that would be sitting around me and be done with the test in like half the time that I did it. And I used to equate that to being smart. It's kind of like you're advocating. Like Harvard is amazing. They have an incredible program. Specifically, it's something that lots, I would say it's a program that many business owners aspire to attend. They have this business owners training, entrepreneur training. You can basically look up any topic, and as a business owner you can fly there and pay the fees and go attend courses there. This is outside of your normal academic course of your 4-year degree. And I love that it was the first time that I learned that. We actually had somebody that worked at the work where I was at previously, and he had graduated from Harvard and just incredibly intelligent in his processes, right? But it takes a different type of smart, the one that's looking at the macro vision, like the CEO that I used to work for, and guiding the team. And I think when we go back to if you're evaluating your processes and systems, lean into your superpower. Lean into what makes you feel confident. Learn the abilities, do a deep dive, continuous improvement of how to acquire more knowledge. And most important, to your point of that quote, as being adaptable. Because I have found if you hire people that come in and have a cultural fit in the organization, they can learn the skills you need them to learn. You need to make sure they culturally fit, that they're adaptable, and that and it's very hard to say this, but they love change. Let's go. There's so many different topics within and continuous learning I want to talk about. I want to go to two others real quick. The other quote you found: the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, or relearn. That's by Alvin Toffler. Uh, what made you think of this one? I love this quote. You did a good job on quotes this time, Alex. What were you thinking when you found this one?
I was thinking about, because one of the books that I'm reading is The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. And I was talking to my wife the other day. We had this great deep conversation. And I was like, because I was working for a company, And many of the things that happen there, if you have the chance to read that book, please do it. It is one of the greatest book I've ever read. And I was like, my wife, if I should have had the chance to read this probably 2 or 3 years ago, things might have been different. And she was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean by no? And I was like, your process of learning sometimes is by reading, but there are times in your life that you need to pass through this learning process so you can unlearn and relearn by experience. So the only way you could have learned the things that you've learned is because you lived how to unlearn, how to relearn, and now you're a different person right now. And now that you're reading the book, you can incorporate all those concepts within your professional and personal life. So I'm so glad, she said, I'm so glad that you have the chance to understand the things that you need to unlearn. And now that you're relearning new things, I think that's amazing. So that quote is amazing combined with the book, which I just mentioned. You have to do it, guys. It's just great.
I love that. Alex, I'm going to go to the next point you wanted to cover in this, and I love this. Continuous learning is not about collecting certificates, although it is part of it. It's
Mhm.
about being curious, being humble, and being open. And one of the ways that you've heard us both talk about before is the importance of books and podcasts, surrounding yourself. We talk a lot in two other podcasts about surrounding yourself around the people that you want to associate with and to help you go to where you're trying to go. So if you want to be one day a manager, surround yourself with different leaders that really aspire you. We talk in a different podcast about how kind of shedding off those that aren't going to help contribute to where you're headed and surrounding yourselves with people. Also, if you think about continuous improvement in today's environment, it's a non-negotiable. Continuous learning is, if you think of the incorporation of AI, I just recently visited a company where my brother works and where I used to work before. Love that company. I heard that they put a ban on hiring anybody that doesn't have AI experience. So this is a company that employs hundreds of people, and now you can't even apply there unless you have AI experience. So that's why it comes back to it's non-negotiable in today's, right? Industries are changing faster than jobs, right? It seems like what made you successful yesterday is not going to take you to where you need to go tomorrow. And I think continuous learners, they adapt fast, they lead better, they stay relevant, they stay longer in companies, they contribute more to success.
Mhm.
Um, right, Alex, there's another quote that I think you did it by Satya that you found. Do you have that one there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, read that one. That one's great.
Long-term success is about continuous learning, curiosity, and reinvention. Satya Nadella.
I think that reinvention piece, I love that you brought that up because there's times where it used to be like, I am over operations. I'm great at supply chain. I am great at, whatever your superpower is, right? But here, this is what I love about this is reinventing. I love when I run into people that are young like me, but that have a couple decades in the career, and they answer differently than somebody that's 23. Right? When you talk to somebody, like I was just today with a whole group of like 40 business owners, and we were in there with a meeting, a really cool structured meeting. And I started talking to them, and they identify with multiple different areas because they've reinvented themselves. Hey, I'm an AR specialist, especially I focus in this area, this area, and this area. And so think of that reinventing of what you can use and other skills that you can add on that'll help make you successful. What other topics should we cover before we wrap this one up on here, Alex?
I would love to mention just one, probably one last more, and about the hidden cost of not learning. Because sometimes we
Yeah.
probably think, I'll just say not just not learning, but not improving ourselves, because I think it's the same. Because you know what? Comfort feels just so good. But that's very expensive because you will have to pay that bill someday, and you will
Yeah.
probably not realize that that's happening while you're there because it's really entertaining, being on social media, watching a movie. That's great. It's part of what we do. But when we put all our efforts there, someday there's going to be someone, probably, as you mentioned it before, younger than us, that totally dominates AI, and they'll be like in the top, leading, heading everything, while you'll be like, okay, I know how to handle social media and and post something there. It's like, okay, thanks, but it's something that we don't need right now. So What do you think about? Because I was thinking also about the opportunity cost of learning and not learning. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it comes back to I just got to give an example. There's a tool, an AI tool that's an accent adjuster, and I wish they had it in Spanish because I desperately need it. But it's in English, and I had presented this to several people, and they're like, "Hey, it's $25 a month. It's expensive," and I think that's a good example of the cost. If you want to, if you want to learn and grow, you're going to spend some either time, some sort of resource, right? Your own personal time or some money or both combined, right? But in this situation, the dollar value for the subscription was too high for their comfort. But I absolutely know some of those people I presented it to, they're going to be unemployed within a year or two if they don't improve their accent. And so that's because we work, Alex and I work with a company. Our company is Z Connect, and what we specifically do is help companies hire people in Latin America. And so that I think that bodes right into what you're talking about, Alex. I think that is a great segue into invest time and money into your continuous improvement. We have witnessed firsthand of people that go get an engineering degree and they know a little bit of English and they apply for the job and they don't get it. And then we get somebody that's really focused in on daily improving their English and they apply for a job and their engineering skills might be a little bit less than the other person who applied and they get the job. So the idea is whatever you're doing in your life, whatever it might be, it could be being the best mom, it could be being the best student, whatever it is, evaluate, sit down right now and do three simple steps. First step is write down where you want to improve in. Two, start with the end in mind, right where you want to be in 3 months, 6 months, whatever the timeline is. And then the number three, two, and then three. Number three is then you're going to write down what are the steps you're going to take to get to where you want to be. I love saying what another way to say it is write down your current state, write down your future state, and the steps in between how you're going to continuously improve and how you're going to focus on continuous learning. If you happen to be listening to this and you work with us, please focus in on the C, which is continuous learning. Please focus in on and reach out if it's not to one of us or anybody else who's listening to this podcast. Look for a mentor that can help you with your blind spots. And I think that's a wrap for today. Any last comments, Alex?
No, Troy, it was perfect. I think that the audience will really, really enjoy this one. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thanks for joining. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye.